Hello, hello. I hope everybody is doing fantastic today. Welcome to Michelle's Inspiration Hour. If you have not met me, my name is Michelle Henderson, and I'm a certified spiritual advisor, psychic medium. I'm a speaker and also an author. So I hope you get inspired by this show and just be inspired to do whatever you feel like your heart desires. So let's get inspired. And before introduce our guest, I want to say hello to everybody. Oh my God, goodness, y'all are coming on. So we have Lexi. Hello, hello. Kiss, kiss, kiss. How are you doing, my dear? Oh my goodness. And here is Terry. Hi. I feel like, I see you on different shows, the Wine and Spirit show and also the Metaphysical Happy Hour show. So Terry, thank you so much. All right. So if anybody is out there, say hello, hello. In the meantime, I'm going to introduce our guest and then I'm going to bring him on. So I am so excited. I mean, he is a jewel. All right. So Brenden is the founder of Master Talke. And if you have not gone to his YouTube channel, you need to. Each video is about 8 minutes long and it gets to the point and he brings up things I would have never thought of. He coaches ambitious executives and entrepreneurs to become top 1% communicators in their industry. He also has a popular YouTube channel called Master Talke with the goal of providing free access to communication tools for everyone in the world, which is awesome. He uses that energy to bring out whatever he needs to and just shares with the world what he knows. Hello, my dear. How are you?
Very good, Michelle. It's great to be on. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. And I am so excited to have this conversation with you because I know I've already told you this before, but I thought public speaking is the most terrifying thing. But when you learn how to communicate with others, it goes to in all aspects of people's lives. And I went into what was called Toastmasters. I know it's international, and I was petrified. But you know what? I got over it. So, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about you?
Of course. And first of all, thank you so much for all the kind words and as well the kind video. That was really awesome. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. So for me, I mean, you said the introduction so well. My name is Brenden. I'm the founder of Master Talk. It's a YouTube channel I started a few years ago to help people with their communication skills. And I also have a coaching practice. But how I got started, Michelle, which might be a bit more interesting, was when I
Mm.
was in college last university. I went to business school and I did these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. So all the guys my age were playing, rugby or basketball or baseball. As you can tell from looking at me, I'm not really that kind of guy. I did presentations, and that's how I learned how to speak. And then as I got older, I started coaching students who were younger than me on how to do better at these competitions. But in that process, Michelle, I accidentally, big word on accident, I accidentally developed a skill on how to coach other people on how to speak. And that's what led to the YouTube channel because I realized everything that was in my head, no one was sharing for free on the internet.
And you know what? There are no accidents. And in my world, there's always coincidences, which
Right.
means that you were meant to do this. You may have
Mm.
stumbled across it, but you found what you were meant to do, to tell everybody about this skill. So when you're looking at communication, and I know that, a lot of it, majority is public speaking, but I always preach that we need to speak our truth, and it's so difficult to speak our truth sometimes. You just want to shut up and not say anything. So, what advice would you give to others about speaking their truth?
Love the question. The way that I would start this off, Michelle, is the following, which is a lot of communication is, to your point, it's saturated in negativity, stress, anxiety. Ugh, what do I do? How do I overcome this fear? Versus going, wait a second. What if we dreamed about our communication skills? I mean, we dream about the vacations we want to go on, the expensive things we want to get, the cars we want to buy, the fancy jewelry. But when was the last time we dreamed about a world where we were great communicators in it? Right? So the question I would have for the audience to think about, Michelle, is how would your life change if you were an exceptional communicator? How would your life change? So, going back to your question around how do we find that truth? How do we have the courage? We begin by asking ourselves, why is communication exciting for us? How could it be exciting for us? Because if we start to explore that possibility, then we get motivated, then we get excited, then we build momentum. And once we have that momentum, then it's a lot easier to figure out anything in the skill.
Awesome, awesome. And I love that. And I think too, where we need to start are with kids. And I saw that one of your videos was about how to get kids to speak. And public speaking is what I and communicate. So tell us a little bit about that. So some of your clients, are they children that you're able to, teach them how to communicate? What does that look like?
Absolutely, Michelle. So that's a very strong observation on your side. You're absolutely right. I do spend 10% of my time coaching kids, and it's not for money. So it's mostly my executives as kids. I just, I charge a little bit, just more of a give back.
Right.
But the reason I coach these kids, and I'm happy to share the takeaways, is really to try and understand, where does the fear of communication begin? Because I don't buy into the idea that we're all just so happen to be scared of communication. There has to be a reason behind it, because there's no way that's as scary as death is. Like, it just didn't make sense in my head. And what I realized, Michelle, is a lot of the kids when they're 5, 6, or 7 years old, they have no communication fear whatsoever. But they also don't know what a presentation is. So they just go, "Oh, do you want me to just stand up and say something?" "Yeah, sure." And we notice that with our nieces or nephews or our children or grandkids, depending on who you're speaking to, right? Where you see a lot of the kids where they're speaking, they're running around, they're playing. But then you notice as they get older, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, that the light starts to dim down, right? So why is
Mhm.
there a delta? What happens in that moment? And the reason I have always believed that we've struggled with communication and how we can teach the next generation of kids better is that we're taught communication the wrong way. Because a lot of communication as we get older is fixed on, you got to do this presentation. It's mandatory. You don't get to pick the subject. And on top of that, it's punishable. Like, if you make a mistake, you lose marks. Whereas what I've learned from the kids and how I coach them in my pro bono work is really just focus, and everyone can take this, is how about we let them pick the topic? What are you excited to present? And have the kids give feedback to each other and only have them focus on one presentation. So those are key takeaways.
And I think that is really awesome too, because that also teaches them how to have empathy for others. Because if somebody cannot speak, they're not going to look down, they'll think of maybe the positive aspects of their communication skills. And I love how you address that we speak about what we know. And, when a Toastmasters, that's our very first speech is to go ahead and talk about something that you know. And so I absolutely love that. And I know with children too, when we become teenagers and they start, teenagers are so, I don't want to say they're all mean because I want to try to be positive, but they can be. And so you're going, okay, I guess I don't want to speak now because I've been, so how do you recover from that? Not only teenagers, but like if you get embarrassed in a conversation or something, but not only public speaking, but if you're, speaking in a group and you get embarrassed, how do you recover from that?
Absolutely, Michelle. And you know what you were saying, that you're spot on. You're right. Not all teenagers are the nicest people in the world. We can definitely agree on that one. And there's a quote by the movie Yes Man that I think summarizes our thoughts really well here. And the quote goes as follows: "The world is a playground. We seem to know it as kids, but we forget it along the way." And that's the key to communication. So going back to the moments where you might feel embarrassed or stressed, my antidote to this is always, how do I practice outside of those conversations in a way that rewires our thinking, rewires our mind to see communication as something more fun? So one of the ways that we discussed this was the question, right? How would your life change if you're an exceptional communicator? That's one piece. But the other piece is an exercise that I teach called the random word exercise. So the random word exercise is super simple. All you do is you pick a random word, like phone, like a
Mhm.
mouth, like headset, just random words, and you create presentations out of thin air. But what this does is it helps build your resilience as a speaker. So when you do that the first couple of times, you kind of just go, "Oh, this is a bit awkward. I don't really want to do this." But then after 15, 20 times of doing this, you start to have fun with this. You kind of go, what would I do if I got the word mango? Well, what would I do if I got the word lipstick or curtain or
Hmm.
wall? And then when you start doing that, and you're less worried about day-to-day conversations with people.
Oh, that makes total sense. And I love how you describe that kind of like, because I always tell people too when I come onto the show is always think about difficult things or when you're having a difficult day, look at it from a point of view, from a child's point of view. Look through their eyes because as you grow up, we forget what fun is all about sometimes because life gets in the way. Totally. And I think that's great because you have something that you can go back to and will trigger a memory or go, oh yes, that is something that I can talk about. But I love that when you were young, were you in high school when you did the team that you were talking about that you were on, the speaking team? Was that high
Yeah.
school?
So the speaking team started when I was around 19. So it was just when I started university.
Okay, okay, and I think, we had that what the reason why I'm asking is because in high school, we had what we called the debate team, and I thought it was excellent, but I just did for one, I was going, "I'm not getting in front of everybody and telling them about my point of view," because and then to this day, I have problems, and I don't wanna say debate, but really express an opinion of mine. Whenever, it's one of those like politics. I try to avoid at all cost. And I've got some friends go, "Why would you avoid politics?" And it's just but I feel like if I had again started earlier, then I probably would not I guess that's being a people pleaser as well. Do you think that goes into play?
It's funny. We're actually agreeing on a lot here today, Michelle. I actually sway away from politics too. Debate, I'm not super keen on, and the reason is because I tend to avoid confrontation as well.
Right.
And I don't think it's necessarily about being a people pleaser. I think it's more about where are we choosing to spend our energy. Right? Where are we choosing to spend? Remember when we started this call, you asked me how I was doing. I always go, life is beautiful. There's a reason life
Yes.
is beautiful. It's not just me saying that's because everyone around me is just positive, and I just avoid conversations that I feel won't lead to a healthy outcome for the people in it. So I definitely don't see anything wrong with that at all.
Okay. Well, good, good. I'm glad to hear it because, yeah, you get with some people and they want to talk politics, and it's like, I don't feel real comfortable, because to me that, with me, that's kind of a private thing. But there are some people that just love to talk about things because they want to talk it out, that kind of thing. So tell us more about what you teach people or what is other content that is on your YouTube video.
Absolutely, Michelle. I mean, there's a ton. I would say the other pieces that we can cover as well is just other easy exercise that people can implement. So we talked about the random word exercise. Another two that I called it my easy threes. So that's the first one. The second one is what I call question drills. So question drills are an exercise that helps us guess questions that the world will ask us. We've all been in situations where we get asked questions on a podcast, right? In an interview, a job, a situation with our clients, we're kind of like, I don't really know the answer to that. So what I recommend people think about, Michelle, is every day for 5 minutes, think of one question that you feel you need an answer to and reflect on it. Oh, this
Mhm.
is too expensive. Okay, write it. Then the next day, what's the guarantee? Okay, write the answer. And the next day. And if you do that for a year, just 5 minutes a day, you'll have answered 365 questions, which is outstanding.
I wanna show you. I don't did you see that in the video about the I and I'm gonna show everybody this at the very end, and if you're just listening to it, you won't be able to see it. But this is a quote. I thought, "Oh my gosh, I love this quote," and here you're stating it. And so I thought, "Oh, that is the wise Brendan." So exactly what you said, ask yourself a hard question about life every day, and in 30 days, your life will be different. And I think that has something to do as well as gratitude because you're looking at it and you're strategizing and you're going, you know what? It's not as bad as what it seems. There's another topic I really liked it, and oh my gosh, I went, that is so true. The imposter syndrome. how
Mm.
to avoid the imposter syndrome, how to get through it. Because I know there are so many jobs out there, and I've had plenty of new jobs. And you go through the imposter syndrome. Can you kind of explain to everybody what that is?
Absolutely, and I'm also happy to touch upon how what do we do about it. So, imposter syndrome is when we feel we're in a position in life that where we shouldn't be. Where we're in a room with a group of people, we have a job, we have a position, a title, or we're in a place in our life that we feel we don't deserve for whatever reason. So, and the reason I like talking about imposter syndrome, I mean, because it's a common topic, a lot of people struggle with it. But I'm probably the number one example of this. I started Master Talk when I was 22, right? Michelle, like, and during those years, I was coaching CEOs of companies. Like some of these guys and gals had worked longer in the business than I was alive. So trust me, I had a ton of it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. And yes, and you probably had to take a couple of deep breaths and go, I am not nervous. I am not nervous.
Yeah, definitely something along those lines.
Yes.
That's all I did for sure. I didn't
Mhm.
do anything else. I was like panicking so that's definitely one piece. I would say the other piece that I feel is misunderstood around imposter syndrome is an analogy I'd love to share. What state are you in, Michelle? Just to use you
I
as an
am in
example.
Texas.
You're in Texas, okay.
Right.
So let's say you live in Houston. I'm just throwing a random city there.
Okay.
Okay, and let's say I came to Houston and I said, Michelle, I'm in the city. What should I do? You'll probably tell me, right? You'll probably say,
Right.
"Oh, you got to go to this place, go to this barbecue place." I don't know, like go to this
Barbecue?
attraction. Yeah, I don't know. You might tell me something, right? Is it that's fair to say, right?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
the same way that if you came to Montreal, where I'm based, I live in Canada, you come to my city and you say, "Hey, Brendan, I'm in Montreal for the summer. What should I do?" I'll probably tell you as well. I'll probably say, "Go to this place, go to this restaurant, go to this place." But don't you find that bizarre, Michelle? Because we're not tour guides. Yet when somebody asks us directions in our own city, we're very open to sharing that information. We
Right.
don't even think about imposter syndrome. We just go, "Oh yeah, just go check out this place." Versus when it comes to our expertise, something we actually spend time learning, something we actually spend time trying to teach people, we feel a hesitation. Why is there a disconnect there? And the reason there's a disconnect is goes back to the definition of what an expert truly is. A lot of people think that expertise is having a PhD or a master's degree or have something that society tells you means expertise, which I think is not true. I think expertise is simply this: we are one chapter ahead of the next person that we're serving in that specific thing. So, in the same way, you could probably teach me a ton of things about spirituality, something I probably need to learn myself, being a medium, asking great questions on a podcast, showing up with great energy. In the same way, I can probably teach you about communication and public speaking. There's always someone that we can learn from. So the remedy is simply
Absolutely.
this: help one person, and the world will give you permission to help everyone else.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh, there's another quote.
And
From
that's
you.
not mine. That's from Ali Gadet. Let me give a credit
Okay.
there.
I know, and that's another thing about all of your videos is you find some of the best quotes, and I love that. And
Oh,
you say it
thank
with
you.
such confidence, whenever you're saying it. But the one thing I wanted to kind of touch on, because a lot of times when I do, especially psychic readings, a lot of people are concerned about their job or a new job that has come into play. And they're going, I don't know whether to go for it, or you can just smell that fear, from their energy. You just know there's fear. And a lot of times they have that, they don't think that's their expertise, but yet they're excited about it. And it's like, well, you need to follow, that gut feeling or whatever. So I am so grateful that you brought that up, that, if that's your expertise or you feel like you just got a nugget, share it with the world. Don't second guess yourself, because again, there's not any by chances. You didn't get this job. There's a reason for it. And I always tell people, if it's not the job for you, you're going to find out, and maybe that's your next stepping stone for the next job.
Mm,
So if that
I
makes sense,
love that.
because we learn through. But I have done that. I know when I was getting my master's in college, I was in my 30s, and I was looking around and I'm going, I'm not as smart as these people. Here we took the same test to get in, and I was able to get in. I'm not a test taker, but I was able to get in, but yet I questioned myself. my knowledge. I'm thinking, all these young people are around here. Why should I be here? But again, that's that imposter syndrome.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm a great example what you just shared there, Michelle. Because I mean, I started my career in something you probably wouldn't think I would. I was an accountant, right?
Oh, wow.
Right.
You
You
were
know
the
the
money man.
right. You'd think like out of all of the things that Brendan could have done before, and then I became a technology consultant at IBM. And then after that, I became a communication coach. And now I'm probably not going to switch careers. But it's to your point, the next opportunity can potentially be a reason for the next one. Because if I never became an accountant, I never would have went to business school. And if I
Right.
never went to business school, I never would have done case competitions. And if I never did case competitions, I never would have built the expertise to even be on a podcast like this and have a conversation with you on communication.
And I do have a question for you. Okay. And that I think a lot of viewers would want to know. Okay, because a lot of my listeners, they like to, of course, it's all spirituality. So a lot of times when you develop a speech and you're not for sure, and it's something that's inspiring and uplifting, do you feel a lot of times that you channel some of this message into your speech?
Absolutely, definitely. I'm a big energy person. I definitely think that the way that we show up in the world, one of my coaches says this best: who you're being always matters more than what you're doing. And what Steve
That's right.
means by this is the energy and how we channel our message as we communicate ideas definitely comes. But the advice I would give for my spiritual yogis out there is when you feel that channeling, be sure you're documenting that energy.
Right.
So what does that mean? I'll give you one. So I was on an airplane and I had to give a big keynote to my client base and I had no idea what to talk about. And I was on this flight, and then something just came to me like a storm, like some lightning idea. And I was like, oh, I should talk about this story. And then just this whole speech just started coming to me randomly. But the difference was I took out my phone immediately and I started typing all of it down. And that's what I think is the missing piece is when you have those channelings, when you feel like something's really going to resonate, be sure you're documenting that journey or else you're likely going to forget it.
Absolutely. It's like when we have a dream and we don't write that dream down, it's gone. That type
Absolutely.
of thing. I love that. I love that. Because, I've talked to people before because, when the religion conversation comes up, I always say, the ministers are channeling, through spirit whenever they're talking or doing a sermon. So it's basically the same thing that we're gonna get channeled and we go, I've got to put that into my speech for a reason because you never know if one person is listening that you may actually change their lives. And then there's another one. I know I keep talking about your topics. That charismatic, how to be more charismatic. Now, my question is, why do we need to be more charismatic?
I mean that is the question of the day, right? Do we even need to be charismatic? I would say charisma is a good way, in the same way communication is. It's an amplifier of who we want to be. So whatever we want to be in life, communication charisma allows us to get there a lot faster, right? Allows us to achieve what we want to do much faster. And that's the power of charisma. So is it necessarily you need it? Not really, but it definitely helps you for what you want to achieve. So for example, in the context of what I do, charisma is very important because I'm in a people business. Right, I'm
Mhm.
always talking to people, interacting with people on podcasts because it's my life. I just talk, and I also enjoy it, so it's genuine
Yeah,
as well. But so in that context, mastering charisma really helps us in life. But the other piece is really for our own personal goals. Going back to the question earlier, how would your life change if you're an exceptional communicator? You realize that the answer to that question is often related to charisma as well.
I love it. Love it. And I think too, people really, they want to say, oh, I want to hear what you have to say if you have a lot of charisma or you're excited about it. You don't really have to work on it. Just be excited and be positive and have that positive energy. So let me ask you a question. Okay. So what inspired you? I know that you've got the skills and everything of to teach people how to communicate better. But what inspired you? What really got you off that bench and said, "I'm gonna do it"?
Absolutely. I mean, this is more of a spiritual show. I'm happy to give you the full story. It's around 90 seconds. So this is the best way to share it. So I was watching this TikTok the other day, Michelle. Okay. And the TikTok was about Taylor Swift. For those who don't know, she's a musician. I'm sure most people who know Taylor Swift is. And the TikTok was about her winning the Woman of the Year award by Billboard. It's a music company. So she stands up on that stage. And in the last scene of her speech, she says something along the lines of this: Your future Woman of the Year is 11 years old right now. She's sitting in a choir, she's playing piano, and we need to take care of her. And then the TikTok reverts. It kind of goes a few years into the forward, and it's like 2020 or something. And Billie Eilish wins Woman of the Year, right, by Billboard. She's like 17 years old. She's the youngest inductee in the history of Billboard. And she stands up on that stage, and she's got a big bulky jacket on. She's got a big bulky glass, and she's like, "Thank you so much, Billboard. It's great to be here." And she's like, well, 17. And then at the end of her speech, she says something that completely changes my life. And what she says at the end is the following: Taylor Swift a few years ago, when she gave her Woman of the Year speech, always resonated with me because when I watched that speech, I was 11 years old,
Oh, wow.
right? And
Oh my
I
gosh.
was playing choir and I was learning piano and I always wanted to be a singer. So the only thing left I have to say, Billboard, is thank you for taking care of me. And then she walks off stage. And the reason that moment always sit with me, Michelle, is I asked myself this fundamental question: who's taking care of the next geniuses of our society, the next Elon Musk, the next yogi, the next superstar with their communication skills? And I realized that I was the only person in the world who was doing this because I'm young enough to relate to those kids and I'm old enough and mature enough and experienced to coach everyone else. So if I don't do it, no one else will. And that's why I decided to do this.
And you said yes.
Absolutely.
I think that is totally awesome. And you know what? Thank you so much for coming on. I mean, the word of the wise. And I know that you look young, right? But you are definitely an old soul. And I've got to say that being spiritual.
Of
And
course.
so just to let everybody know, is towards the end of the show, and let me say hello to Tammy real quick. Because Tammy, oh wait, and she says, hello, sorry I'm late. And hey, darling, it is okay. No worries at all. Okay, so toward after the 30-minute mark, everybody knows this. I love to do psychic readings because that's kind of inspiration for the week. Because it's almost like communicating and saying, you're okay. This is maybe what you need to look at. Yeah, it's almost like a affirmation, something of the week that I need to have positive reinforcement. And it kind of makes people happy. Love your life. Oh, love your life. I'm sorry, I was reading what Tammy wrote. I get distracted real easy. Oh, before I do the psychic readings, I do want to pinpoint one more thing that we talked about earlier, is that you were talking about when you talk to someone, you resonate with their energy.
Hmm.
So if you're talking to someone really hyperactive or talking, you want to kind of get kind of close to that energy because that's a good communication. However, if they're kind of like really low bumped, I loved how you did it on your video. If you're really, having those low moments or they're having that low moment, just bring your energy down a little bit to communicate with them. That way I think, they'll you can cheer them up too. I thought, you can cheer them up that or unless that's their personality, and that's okay too, because not everybody is really hyper, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
So, is there anything else that we did not address today that
No,
you want to talk?
I think you summarized everything well perfectly, Michelle. I think the only thing left around the reading was I have a call right now. So is there a way we can do a reading like next week or something? Because I
Ab-
realize I only have 30 minutes booked. That's the only
yes,
thing.
absolutely, absolutely.
Amazing.
But let me show you these two cards real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. If it's quick, let's do it.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
real quick. No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Let's
not.
do it.
And I only pull out a card mainly, but because you're one of our guests. And the reason is because I was pulling out my cards and they're in little pouches, and two were left in there. And I thought to myself, maybe that's for Brendan. And I got
Yeah,
okay,
please. Let's do
okay.
it. Let's do it.
So look at this leadership. Oh, it's backwards. I'm sorry.
No, no, I
Leadership,
see
it
it.
says set your goals. All right. So that is definitely saying that you're a leader, and just to continue. Look at, and what really I'm being pulled towards is that torch. The lady is holding a torch. So you are shining bright with your leadership. Okay, vacation. All right. You need a vacation. You need to
I,
balance your life out.
that's accurate.
Okay. So take time for relaxation and adventure. And you can do different adventures, but you need to take care of yourself instead of work, work, work all the time.
Wow, that's so accurate. Wow, let's go to for Michelle.
Hey, you know what? I'm just the person delivering the message. Okay. These were the two cards that were in the pouch, they were for you.
I love that.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, and keep, shining who you are and inspiring others. And before you go, too, I want to let everybody know where your YouTube channel is. And I've got it right here. Oh, no, it's your website. I'm sorry. Your website, which will show you where to go on your YouTube. But it's www.mastertalk.ca. Is that correct?
Yep, absolutely. And then
Okay.
people can also check out the YouTube channel. I also want to take this moment to acknowledge you as well, Michelle. I love the way that you celebrate others and you bring them up, and it really made my day. So thanks for this entry. It's
Oh, well,
super
thank
fun.
you. Thank you very much. I think you are totally awesome. All right, everybody.
Likewise.
So go watch Brenden and YouTube on Master Talk. Thank you. Bye. I always hate to remove them. I feel like I'm all alone now, but I'm not, because I've got other people out there. All right. So let's do some reading, shall we, to inspire us for the week. And just like Brenden, it was so interesting that I had cards that were in a pouch, and yeah, those were the ones for him. And so I knew I had to, even though he didn't have the time. It's like, let's show the cards. All right. So Tammy, yes, ma'am, you can definitely get a card reading for this week. Okay. Let me get my, I'm the one that likes to doodle. So, all right, Tammy, let me see. All right. All right, Tammy. All right. So as soon as I started tapping a little bit, I need to have these cards for you. Okay. Cosmic Dancer. And what this is movement. So this week, you need to show some type of movement, some inspiration movement this week, girl. Okay. So let me see which card I'm being drawn to. All right. All right. Oh, I love this for you, Tammy. Okay. So I'm going to show you the card first, and then I'll read it for the people who do not. I'm sorry, I apologize. That's backwards. But it says honor the cycles. And I love this because there's an 8 that is on her chest or her stomach. Okay. And those are actually the moon cycles, right? And so you need to remember, especially this week, and whenever things seem like they get down and you're going, I have to get through this. Remember, tomorrow is a new day, because sometimes we go through cycles. And I know a lot of times whenever I'm going through a cycle of happiness, I'm going, oh, things are rocking and rolling. And then all of a sudden, okay, something happens and it tries to bring me down a peg or two. And so I'm thinking, okay, that's another cycle that I need to go through. Maybe I need to learn something through this cycle, just like we have those moon cycles and, like the full moon. And I will tell you, this really happens in a classroom. When there it is a full moon, even my good children misbehave. Okay. So they're going through that cycle too. So everybody does. And so just know tomorrow is a new day. So if you have a difficult week, just know that it's not going to last. It's only a cycle. And hug your puppy too, because I love that puppy that you are pictured with, Tammy. And that way it will make that cycle so much better. So I hope that you are going through a good cycle, but if it disappears, just know it's not far behind of getting a better cycle. All right, Tammy, thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let me know if you want a reading. Oh, okay. Terry. I'm sorry, I just saw you way up there. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. And I think this is what kind of came up last week too, is a humor. Oh, my baby, yeah, is humor. I think that came across, but what I'm seeing is you being at work or somewhere and just laughing with your head, ah, ha, ha. Okay, so let me see. All right, so let's do the spiritual, okay? All right, but I don't know, but there's something about with you. It seems like you deal with things through humor, and I think that has come up before, but that's again, it's coming up again. Okay, so Terry, I'm going to do something a little different today. Okay, so what I want you to do, I just feel like I need to do this. Okay. Pick the number one, two, or three, and that will tell me what pile I need to choose from. Okay. And I know there's like a delay whenever I ask you a question. So I'll wait just a few minutes. So whatever number okay, that's coming tonight is three. Okay. Three it is. Oh, see here, I'm laughing too. And this will really go with what we're talking about. Okay. So this week, whenever you're being confronted with anything, okay, and you're just going, don't bring me down, with confrontations. And I'm really feeling it's not going to be a bad confrontation, just one that, that you really have to think about and go, don't bring me down again. Okay. So really pick your battles. So if something comes up this week and you feel like you can let it go, then let it go, and think through it. Make sure it is something that you can let go, and then totally don't think about it anymore. Because I don't know if I can. I keep feeling that sometimes when things happen, you think about it. Oh, I should have done it this way, or I should have done it the other way, right? So I think that is what is going on. So whenever a situation happens, don't think about what you should have done. Whatever happened was supposed to happen. And so it may be a small confrontation, but just say, all right, I put it out there in the universe and I'm moving on. Okay. All right. So I hope that resonates with you, Terry, and have a fabulous week. All right. So, Lexi, let's get to you. I know I saw it. There you are. All right. Because it tends to scroll up. Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what came to mind, and I'm really not for sure how this pertains to you. But it's almost like different situations, again, don't think through things too much. It's almost, I was looking at your name and doing circle and everything, and for some reason I was drawn to the X, like X marks the spot. Okay. So whatever you're thinking, go for it. Don't overthink things, and think in your mind X marks the spot. So you follow that intuition and you don't think twice about it, basically. Okay. So again, I'm going to go with my spiritual cards for you, girl. I'm just feeling that you need to definitely use your intuition this week. You've got it, and you tend to question it all the time, but we all do. Okay. All right. So, whenever you do use your intuition, you're inviting the magic in, right? You're letting go. Again, don't think too much. Don't let the ego think for you. X marks the spot. Okay. Invite the magic in this week. All right. So, I hope this resonates with you, Lexi. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's see if there's anybody else. Awesome. Awesome. And Tammy, I love this. Thank you. That's my baby. I snuggle her. And again, I think I did a show a couple weeks ago that, that talk about dogs or any kind of pet, just they bring the energy and you just feel like you can go to home to somebody, especially if you have an empty nest, right? All right, Lexi, you're welcome. All right. So I don't know if you saw the beginning of the show, but we had a wonderful guest that talked about speaking and how to communicate. And I think what you need to do is definitely speak your truth. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to put his quote, which I absolutely love this, and I will read it for the people who are not on the stream to see it. And then I will see you next week. I won't have a guest. It will just be me, and I will let you know whenever I come on, though, and do some readings. Okay. So ask yourself a hard question about life every day. And in 30 days, your life will be different. I love that. Words from the wise. And please make sure you speak your truth. All right. Thank you so much for listening to Michelle's Inspiration Hour. And I will see you next week.